Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pop Anime Comics here from Pop Anime Comics Lounge and the PopAnimeComics.com. Where we write about anime, comics, and pop culture. And as always, this is Attack on Titan Season 3, Episode 45 slash Episode 8 of Season 3. A lot of fun stuff's going on in this episode, but before I even get into all that, I do just want to once again, I've been saying it every episode, this is to act as a companion to a bigger project where I have a panel at AnimeCons called Exploring Dystopia through Attack on Titan, The Walking Dead, and Fahrenheit 451. And if you would like me to be a guest at a convention or anything along those lines, or do a guest presentation somewhere, feel free to shoot me an email. It's on my website. You can find it on Twitter. I do answer all emails. You can shoot me a tweet. I'm more than happy to come up and tell cons that if you want that panel to come to a convention, tell a con that you want that panel. Usually they have a form, so there you go. Again, this is to act as a companion, explore big ideas, and kind of fill in the gaps of what I can't get to in each and every panel. I usually have 45 minutes to 50 minutes at each con to kind of go through a lot of cool big ideas, exploring a lot of stuff throughout all 3 seasons, plus The Walking Dead, plus the novel Fahrenheit 451. So having said all that, this episode's got a lot going on. So it's pretty clear that this episode, that the anti-military personnel have no idea that Rod Reese transforms as a Titan, and that the cave is going to collapse, and he turns into this mystical beast of a Titan. And Levi and Mikasa all come in to rescue Eren, and this forces a choice where there's no way out, and Eren's kind of being a bit of a crybaby here because he's realizing that, he's not supposed to inherit this position of power, and he's not supposed to be there, and he's not the one, and he's having real doubts about being this leader and having this power. And then ultimately, Levi basically says to him that you have a choice to make, and I hate to keep on making you do these choices, but then Eren kind of grows a pair, for lack of a better word here, and then he bites on this armor component, and he then charges in, bites it, and out of nowhere he starts hardening up and prevents the entire cavern from enclosing. And then that really goes and shows this concept that he now has this ability to harden. And that's something that I think is really big to focus in on, where after everybody is underneath him, he kind of builds some walls and prevents it and creates these pillars, and they're very crystallized. They're very similar to what the wall's made out of. And then they chip him out of the Titan, and then there's like a version of his Titan that's completely crystallized and hardened. And I think that's something that's really interesting, because prior to all this, he didn't have the ability to do that. They were trying to replicate that all throughout parts of Season 2, and they couldn't do it. And now they just figured out that this is how you do it, this is how you harden, and it's an ability, and he winds up saving all of his fellow Survey Corps members. And that's crucial, because now this has given them hope that they could solve the issue and plug the hole in Wall Maria and actually take back the land. And then definitely, once they plug that hole, they could then go and kill the Titans and actually allow humanity to re-expand into that territory and repopulate and further push them off of the point of extinction. And that's something that's been thrown out there since episode 1, and this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while with this. And so we're now starting to understand what actually causes hardening, what the ability is based off of, and this kind of is a teaser to the next arc of Attack on Titan, which we're still finishing this arc with the Rod Reese Titan and the coup d'etat arc of Attack on Titan, but the next arc is obviously dealing with fixing that situation, learning more about what makes up the walls, and this is it. And this is the first time that Eren has actually used the hardened ability, and they're now understanding it. Eren's understanding it more, the Survey Corps is understanding it more, and they're understanding what it actually means to do this and what it looks like when it's done correctly, because they haven't seen this done as far as their positions. Also, while they're leaving, another big component of this is that obviously Rod Reese has transformed into this massive Titan, and he's heading to the Ordova or Orville. Can't say it. It's a district. Its name is not working. It's Orvud, I want to say, off the top of my head. And they realize that he's heading there and that he wants to essentially wipe out humanity. And he's just crawling, and it's very insect-like, Titan-wise, and how he's a big Titan, and that's something that now they have to deal with. And this whole discussion of the Foundation Titan comes up, where Rod Reese's intention was that in order to fully embrace the power of the Titan, is that you need somebody from the royal bloodline to kind of, it's almost like a key, it's almost like a two-key lock, is how I would describe it, where in order to embrace the full power, you need somebody from the royal bloodline as well as somebody to have that Titan power. They need to be one and the same to have it, but at the same time, the king, it has to reflect the king's will, which is why the Titans, humanity has never been liberated from the Titans. And so it's a very odd system where it's almost like 3 checks that you need in order for the Titan wielder to eliminate the threat of the Titans from humanity and to liberate them. And so, obviously, there's a real question that comes up, is that if Eren allows himself to be eaten by Rod Reese as the Titan, will he restore back to his normal sense? Will he get off of this brainwashing? And then will humanity actually have a chance? And Eren's like, I'm ready to do that. But then Historia kind of knocks some sense into him, saying there's no guarantee that plan is flawed, because there's no guarantee that he will transform back into a regular human. There's no guarantee that he can defy the king's will. There's no guarantee that he will get over the brainwashing. And if he alters everybody's memories again, this is all for naught, and we go back to square one, which is where we all are right now, and all the effort that we just pushed forward is lost. And so this ultimately forces Historia to understand that she has to kill her father, and that not her in particular, but the Survey Corps is going to wind up killing her father and subdue it down. And so I think that's something that's very interesting, where we get this conversation now about what is best for humanity and what is going to benefit humanity, and how they have this conversation. And in many ways, Eren doesn't want this power, but he also understands, and he's very well aware of humanity and what the best choice is. And that's a theme that has been reoccurring in Attack on Titan throughout this season, is that what is the best options for humanity? And what do we have to do, and what sacrifices do we have to make for humanity to thrive and go forward? And I think that's what this touches upon. And then the other side of that is the free will component, where Historia, by making these decisions, knocking some sense into Eren, she wants free will. She wants to escape. And Eren wants to, in many ways, accept his destiny of saying, hey, look, I don't want this power. I was never supposed to have it. And then Historia explains that Eren's father wasn't interested. He gave his son this power and said, you need to master it to save everybody. And we get that slight little flashback, which kind of kicks in, saying, this is the one opportunity that we get to take the power away from this royal family. And there's a lot more going on in the manga with that as you get past chapter 90. And not going to spoil anything there, but it's this one opportunity that they have to take power away, and it's almost a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do that. And that's what Eren's father was attempting to do, is in order to save humanity, they need to take power away from this group, because this group really forced humanity into being extinct and on the verge of extinction, and they're not interested in pushing forward as the Survey Corps and everybody else wants to push forward to plug up the wall and go beyond the walls and all that. And so Historia makes a solid argument, and then this is where they basically say, okay, we have to subdue and kill this Titan and put it down. And so that's what's going on with that, is that we have this really interesting realm of accepting your destiny or making the right choice for humanity, accepting your destiny, making the right choice for humanity, giving them an ultimate out, which, is a gamble, or having free will and saying, well, we're going to oppose this and understand that we are now in a new age, And that's something I think is so interesting about this episode and Attack on Titan right now. And we're getting a lot more philosophy and a lot more understandings with these episodes of that, of we're in this environment, and this environment has been more or less controlled for about 100 years since the first king came about, possibly a little bit longer, and then people's memories have been wiped, and this is the first time that the memories being wiped and restoration is kind of being thrown out the window, and everything from this point forward is now you have the ability to choose. And I think his story represents that, and I think that this is the ushering of a new era where it's kind of like the first time you are not, it's almost like the first time a country is entering into a democracy. They understand that now you have a choice in your leadership. You have a choice in what you want to accomplish. You now don't have to live in fear of your government anymore. And I think that's something that is really, really interesting. I think this is what this ushering in of it is. And I think to some degree, Eren is having a hard time accepting that. And that's why we get his attitude and his position of feeling guilty is that he has a massive power that can solve a problem. And he has been, and not just him, but most of society has been in a very suppressed environment. And he's coming into understanding his power, and he needs a little bit of a kick in the ass to understand that. And so I think that's what that focuses in on. And then I just love the ending to this episode also, where they know he's heading to that district. And then everybody's like, Commander Erwin, what's the plan for evacuation? He's like, there's no plan for evacuation. Every person's going to stay here. And Erwin is not one to sacrifice humanity. It's not said in this, but it's pretty clear that they're going to subdue and eliminate and kill Rod Reese's big Titan before it reaches the district. And they're going to take care of it. And so that's where we're at in this. And we're now understanding what's going on with all of this. And so I think it's a great episode. I think that there's a lot of material here, and we're finding out more and more and more about these Titans. And as I stated, I'm not going to go spoil anything with the manga. If you're not reading the manga, it's really good, and a lot more is coming out in the manga. Again, once you get past chapter 90, a lot more stuff's going on. A lot more stuff dealing with the Titans is going on. This season in particular has introduced a lot of components that are the basic versions and are the intro versions to a lot more information that gets built upon later on with this stuff as the world expands a little bit, and not to dive into it too much, but this is a lot of the basic stuff of the founding Titan and things like that, which has been thrown out here, which is going to be built upon. Either if season 3 goes to 24 episodes, we're going to touch into that stuff, or if ends at 12 and then we get a 4th season, it's going to be built upon in that 4th season. So that's something to keep in mind, and I think that this acts as a base, especially that Rod Reese stuff with the founding Titan and the royal bloodline, and how this is really ushering in this concept that no, we don't need a true founding Titan to handle this, and that they are making the choice. And that is a very free will driven choice, because Eren could easily get himself eaten by Rod Reese and sacrifice himself, and then they could work from there, but they're choosing to define that and go against that wind and make their own choices by their own free will. And so that's my entire take on it. Big ideas here, a lot of stuff's going on. This fills in a lot of gaps. At this point, I've done 8 of them. And so if you come to one of my panels and I don't get to your question, or what ends up happening is that I don't know where everybody is in the audience, so I don't like to ruin things and go too deep. I like to go a little deep. It all depends on the audience. Sometimes we go real deep, sometimes we don't. It's how I get the sense of the audience where we all are at. And that's why this is the point of these videos, because this is very, very deep. What's going on, and the big concepts and ideas being flown around. And there's a lot more that can be spoken about. I mean, I could spend an hour breaking down each episode. I could probably spend more than that. And then you throw in other ideas into there and what's going on. But this is to act as a companion and there's a lot of other people doing stuff on YouTube. This is not a review. This is not, anything in particular. This is really a companion to that panel. So I don't know when is the next time I'm going to do that panel. Hopefully in November at Anime NYC. If you want to see that Anime NYC, shoot them a message saying, hey, I want to see this panel. Because that's always the best way how to get a con, is that if enough people send them an email, they will most likely say, that makes sense. Otherwise, I'm going to try to bring this panel to KatoriCon in January. But again, if you want to see this at a con, hit up the con, say, hey, I want to see this. This is really cool. This guy is doing stuff on YouTube, and this seems like a really cool panel and a really cool idea. Again, my name is Pop Anime Comics. My email is andrewedavis@hotmail.com. So definitely give that to a con, and hopefully they'll pick this panel up, and it'll be wonderful. And I appreciate everybody who watches this. Love comments. Feel free to talk about it. Whatever you choose, totally love that stuff. And if you have any questions, comment section down below. I always respond. And I'm more than happy to get into a long YouTube discussion. That's what I'm here for. And all my social media links, I'm just going to go through them really quickly. On Twitter, I'm Pop Anime Comics. My podcast is the Pop Anime Comics Lounge on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio. I have a bit of a cold, so if my voice is fluctuating, I apologize. Facebook is Pop Anime Comics. Instagram is Pop Anime Comics. My website is popanimecomics.com. I don't know if I said that already. My email is andrewedavis@hotmail.com. And typically anything that's Pop Anime Comics is mine. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely check it all out. I do Facebook Lives of my panels, and usually those stay up for about 2 weeks, so definitely check that out. So if you can't make it to one of my panels, I completely understand. I'm all over. You can definitely check that out, and feel free to watch that. Those are free. But you gotta like my Facebook page to watch it. It's just appreciated. So definitely check that out, and I look forward to hearing back from everybody. And I've been going for 17 minutes, so that's where I'm at, and I hope you enjoy this, and I cannot wait to hear from everybody and what everybody thought of the episode, and big ideas, and if this changes the way you view things in between. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you next week in the next episode that I review big ideas, all sorts of fun stuff.